everybody. Welcome to Inside the Zone with Mateo. We got our NFL show this week. It's week 12. We're over halfway through the season. We're getting close to the playoffs. It's almost Thanksgiving. Everybody, Inside the Zone with Mateo NFL episode starts right now.
On play action to Jones. Stepping up. Deep shot. It is Edison! Flips the field down to the 40 of Detroit.
And his impact so far on the Viking defense. Second down 9. Darnold getting messy, going deep, and he's got Jefferson. It's a foot race downfield with Brown. Shifting gears. Getting a block. That's 6.
Everybody, Inside the Zone with Mateo starts right now. Let's go! That is right, everybody. We are rolling Inside the Zone with Mateo, week 12 of the NFL. We got our NFL show coming to you every Thursday during the NFL season from week 1 all the way through the Super Bowl and maybe even through the off season. And by the thumbnail, you can see you're probably asking questions. Why do we have all 49ers? Well, I just thought, why not do the 49ers after an insane win over the Cardinals, who I know the Cardinals aren't very good, but I'd say Brock Purdy's back. Let's just give him some props. And maybe we'll talk about them a little bit more. But without further ado, you guys probably know how this works. Let's get into Mateo's show. Batting order. Still needs a sponsor, but it could be Mateo's show batting order presented by you. And if you want to sponsor this segment, which I basically use almost every single episode, hit me a DM on X. There's some Google Forms in my description of my YouTube channel. And while you're doing that, if you're interested, you could also leave. I guess you could try to ask in the comments, but that probably would be meaning like leaking some information out. Probably we don't want that happening. But if you're in the comments, comment something, respond to a take I make, give me your opinion on it. Maybe you'll be featured on the show one day. And since you're over there in the comments section right now, you're probably saying, oh, did anybody leave a comment? All right. Well, you know what's right above it? The like button. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button here on YouTube. Help me grow the channel. A lot of views, not a lot of subscribers. Let's fix that. Here on November 20th, 2025. Next week, I will be live from Florida with a Thanksgiving trip going into Florida. So we'll be live from a different location, but hopefully I should still bring the same energy and maybe even more energy because I won't be doing school because I'm going to be on Thanksgiving break, everybody. Well, kind of. I still have school, but not as much school. If you know what you know. But let's just hop into the show, guys. Mateo's show batting order is the same every single NFL episode. We talk about what the heck I learned from the last week of the NFL, the previous week of the NFL. Then I'm going to hold myself accountable from the picks I made last week. We'll make my week 12 picks, and then y'all love it. The power rankings, my updated power rankings, and let's just say things are going to get a bit spicy, a bit heated. Things are actually going to get heated in this part of the show as well. We're going to go into what the heck I learned from week 11 of the NFL. There's 5 things as normal. The number one thing is going to stay the same for the rest of the year, basically, is this. Boom! And these teams are making the playoffs. So basically what it is, it's basically an updated look at the playoff picture, who I think will make the playoffs, who I think won't make the playoffs, and everybody else in between. So here's a look at who I had last week. So last week, the teams in the almost 100% category, like basically you're going to make the playoffs pretty much. For the last couple weeks, they've all stayed the same, okay? Yeah, and then pretty close to 100%. It has changed a couple times. And then obviously the still needed has been pretty much the same as what, for the most part, for the last couple of weeks. Things change. Things changed this week. Week 11 was a very weird week, but it also exposed a lot of teams. And here is the updated slide for week 11, week 12 of the NFL. Is this? Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Boom. Yeah, it looks completely different, doesn't it? We kind of renamed some sections, added some teams, opened it up for almost every other team other than a couple teams. We're going to break it down here. If this is confusing, or if you're on my Spotify audience, I haven't posted a video on Spotify for a while, and I apologize. But if you're watching there, hey, like it, give us a follow over there as well. Basically, we got almost 100%. That is basically going to stay the same. Almost 100% going to make the playoffs. I'm confident in most of these teams that are going to make the playoffs. The Colts, the Eagles, the Patriots, the Broncos, the Rams. The Bills do make this spot now after that win. And they have a very easy matchup tonight here, Thursday, November 20th against the Texans. You got Josh Allen. That team looks, they'll probably make the playoffs. I don't know if they're going to go deep into the playoffs, but we will see. And then the San Francisco 49ers are almost a guaranteed lock into the playoffs for me. That's just my opinion. I'm going to talk about the Niners in a little bit later. The second category from, for the last couple weeks, it's been pretty close to 100% to make the playoffs. Well, now could make the playoffs if the playoffs started today. And you can see I don't have really a list of teams and their records because I believe that anybody besides these 9 teams, the Titans, the Browns, the Jets, the Raiders, the Giants, the Saints, the Commanders, the Falcons, and the Cardinals, I believe anybody who is not mentioned could make the playoffs if they started today. Obviously, if they're not in a playoff spot right now, they wouldn't make the playoffs if it started today. But it's basically like they could make the playoffs on a good day or a bad day, depending on what type of week they have. They could be considered to be a playoff contender or to be able to make the playoffs or not, depending on how well they play. I'll break that down in a second. And then, spots open. We got a whole chunk of spots open. For the longest part, it's just been the AFC North and then wildcard spots. I have no idea who's going to win the NFC South now. We're going to break that down in a second. The NFC West is completely open. You got either the Rams, the Niners, or you could say the Seahawks. The NFC North, any of those 4 teams. I know, even my Vikings. My Vikings, I am so mad at. They don't deserve to win, but they are mathematically still able to win the division. They have the best record against their division. They're 2-1 against their division. They got another divisional game coming up against the Packers this week. If they win that, they're 3-1 against the division. And it's got that tie break. And then, so I covered all of those already. And then the AFC North is just completely I do think the Ravens are going to end up making it. I do think the Ravens are going to end up beating the Steelers. Aaron Rodgers just went down with an injury. I don't even think the Steelers are going to make the playoffs. It's a very hot take. Very hot take. But I say anybody else. Well, let's break down the playoff picture a little bit right now. Here it is. So we're starting the AFC. So I said the Raiders, the Jets, the Browns, the Titans. Those are the teams that I don't think could make the playoffs. Note, I did not mention the Cincinnati Bengals. I did not say the Miami Dolphins. Because they theoretically, Joe Burrow is coming back. Joe Burrow. How many games exactly are left? 8? No, there's 17 games. If you win out with Joe Burrow's either going to come back this week or next week. If you win out, you go to 10-7. That seems like you could make the playoffs. And because none of these teams, I'm going to say the Broncos, as I said, the Broncos, Patriots, Colts, and then the Bills, I'm going to say are going to make the playoffs. The Steelers or the Ravens, one of those teams are going to make the playoffs as a division winner. I do not think the other team will make the playoffs. They're not as strong. The Jaguars could make the playoffs, but again, they're not strong. I don't believe in the Chargers. Y'all saw why. Y'all saw why. Y'all were criticizing me, and you were saying, you got to believe in the Chargers. Do you see what the Jaguars did to the Chargers? No offense to the Jaguars, who are in a playoff spot right now. The Texans, without CJ Stroud, they're going to lose tonight against the Bills. So the Bills are going to be 8-3, and then the Texans are going to be 5-6. You still got the Chiefs who are fighting, but I don't think they're good enough. I think they'll probably end up sneaking in. Dolphins maybe could steal a couple wins again if they win out. You're looking at again a 10-7 record. Maybe, I don't know. But Joe Burrow is going to come back. The question is, can Joe Burrow save this Bengals team with how bad their defense is? Also note, if they do win out, I think the only way they make the playoffs is if they win out. That would mean Joe Burrow would go undefeated in the season. And there we would have to talk about something else. Now, Jamar Chase is out this week because he spat on Jalen Ramsey. Stupidest decision ever to make. You're playing the Patriots, so I'm guessing you're going to probably take a loss. And it seems like Joe Burrow's going to make his debut, or he's going to return to the NFL play Thanksgiving against the Baltimore Ravens. So even then, you go 3-8, you win out the rest of your games, you're 9-8, you're going to be competitive. Heck, that division is open. You could win that division at 9-8. So that's why that Thursday game again on Thanksgiving is going to be so important. It is going to be so important for the Cincinnati Bengals. If they lose that game, their season is for sure over. But things are going to be interesting. Things are going to be very interesting in the AFC North for sure. We're going to talk more about it probably eventually as the season progresses. And, once we know that Joe Burrow will come back, the AFC North is a very interesting division right now. Here, we'll go over here to the AFC North. There you go. I mean, it speaks for itself. It speaks for itself. Look. The best team in that division is 6-4. That is the Steelers. I do not think the Steelers are going to be... I think they're maybe capped at a 10-win team. That's cap. That's a cap. Like the top, like what they can do at the most. The Ravens do have a favorable schedule. But again, I think it's because they had an awful start. They're like a 10-ish win team. And if Joe Burrow comes back, the Bengals are a 10-win team. The division games are going to be insane. As we know, Cincinnati already beat Pittsburgh once. I know they lost once, but you never know. I know Baltimore's won 4 in a row. Cincinnati, I think they play them twice. I believe they play them twice. If they play them twice, they play the Ravens at home on Thanksgiving. Then they played... Okay, no, they already played the Ravens once. Did they beat them? Where the heck? What am I looking at? No, they haven't played them yet. They played them. They play on Thanksgiving, Thursday Night Football, Thanksgiving in Baltimore, and then in Cincinnati, December 14th. I guess this schedule is a little tough. Here's the Bengals schedule. The Bengals schedule: Patriots this week, Ravens then the following week, then the Bills, then you got the Ravens again, you got the Dolphins, the Cardinals, and the Browns. Last 3 games of the season you should be able to win, especially if Joe Burrow's back. I'm going to say you for sure split the Ravens if Joe Burrow is back. So you're 4-1. 4-1, and then I'll give you a win against the Bills because you have their number, especially if Joe Burrow comes back. This is really all if Joe Burrow comes back. 5-1. If you lose to the Patriots 5-2, that would mean you would be an 8-win team. 8-win team, Probably not good enough. To win something. But here's the Steelers' schedule. The Steelers' schedule, as I said, a capped at a 10-win team, so like 4 wins max in this schedule. You're playing the Bears. I don't want the Bears to win this game. I think the Bears are going to end up winning this game. So Steelers lose. They lose to the Bills. They lose to the Ravens. So that's already 0-3 in your next 3 weeks. That puts them below 500 at 6-7. Why did I do that to myself? I don't know. 6-7. That would be their record if they drop the next 3 games. Then you play the Dolphins, which just say, hey, you can win that. You're 7-7. Lose to the Lions, 7-8. You beat the Browns, 8-8. That game could be for the division. Week 18. Holy cow. 8-8. I say you lose probably to the Ravens, 8-9. So you have the Bengals 8-9, and that's even with them losing some games. You got the Steelers at 8-9. But this is why I think the Ravens are going to end up winning this division. You get the Jets this week. That's a win. You get the Bengals this week. As I said, they're going to probably split, so you're going to be 1-2. No, 2-1, excuse me. Steelers, you're going to be 3-1. Patriots, you'll lose. I think you can lose that game. So we have them winning 3, losing 2 in their next 5. The Packers is very interesting. It's a win or lose scenario. And then the Steelers, so I'm trying to think here. 1, 2. I lost track of how I was counting. 3, 2, 3, 3. There's not many games left. So hold on. I'll talk it. So one more. These 3 games are going to be all wins. That's 3-0. Then you lose here because you're going to lose. I think you're going to lose 1 to the Bengals, especially if Burrow comes back. 3-1, 3-2, 3-3, 3-3. If you're 3-3, you're 8-8. Holy cow! I'm telling you guys, if Joe Burrow comes back, the Bengals go on an insane winning streak. This division, do you see what I mean? Do you see what I mean? The AFC North might be one of the most exciting divisions to be watching the last couple months of the NFL season. Woo, it's going to be good. It is going to be good. This show is going to be also very long, so I'd appreciate it if you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I'm spending a lot of time recording and editing. I don't just do podcasts. I also do gaming videos. I do short form videos. I have my new faith athlete series where I take a look at Christian athletes and what they think about God and, evaluating it. See what truths they talk, like how we can apply that to our lives. I do that. I have other podcast episodes, not just NFL. I talk all things sports. So I would appreciate the heck out of y'all if you would hit that like button and hit that subscribe button right here, right now. Just go do it. It's one button. It's one button. Let's get back to football. Man, bro, I'm telling you, this slide, could literally, we could spend an entire episode basically, just talking about the playoff picture right now. And this is only week 12. Since it is a full NFL episode where we have lots to get to, we got picks, we got power rankings. I'm not going to spend as much time talking about the other divisions. I will talk about the NFC North, but that is going to be in another thing I learned from this week. I will talk about the NFC West also. That is another thing I learned this week as well. So I will talk about those 2 divisions in later times, just so that, again, we don't run out of time. But I do want to talk about the NFC South. And then I'll clarify what I mean by could make the playoffs, anybody else, right? Well, let me clarify that right now. Because we were only pulling up the AFC playoff picture. So let's talk about that quick before, and then I'll get to the NFC side of things. Besides the Broncos, Patriots, Colts. Hey, everybody. Okay, we got breaking news. Oh, boys. Oh, Adam Schefter, that was amazing timing. That was what you call amazing timing. Adam Schefter, I thank you. Here is the report. Should I just pull it up from Twitter? Let's just pull it up from Twitter. I get the ESPN alerts, but he also posts the same things on Twitter. Let me pull it up. We got some Joe Burrow. We got some Joe Burrow. We got some Joe Burrow news, everybody. Joe Burrow, Adam Schefter. Adam Schefter. Is it? Is it? Yes. Let's go, boys. Here we go. Okay. Adam Schefter, are you guys ready? Adam Schefter says on X, the signs continue to point to a potential Joe Burrow return Sunday versus the New England Patriots. This he posted literally 10 minutes ago on X. I just got the notification via the ESPN app. And this is from Ben Baby at Baby on X. He says Joe Burrow is taking QB1 reps during individual drills as well. Joe Flacco is taking QB2 reps. So also, you guys, if you don't know, okay, so this is the ESPN Bengals reporter, basically. Cool, appreciate it. If you don't know, we had this news from Tuesday and Wednesday that he was taking 11v11, full pads, everything. He was that QB1 drills, and now he's taking reps with individual drills as well. Joe Flacco is taking QB2 reps. Dude, the Bengals might be one of the most exciting stories if they end up making a push for the playoffs. I love football. I love football. I love sports, dude. It literally, and thank you. That was perfect timing. That was perfect timing, Adam Schefter, for giving me that. I appreciate it. I love that. But, we got a show to continue to roll. And so I was saying, we're going, back to the slide. I'm not going to put it back on right now. But, I said anybody could make the playoffs. Other than some of these teams, the Titans, Browns, Jets, and Raiders, right? I'm gonna do that, and then also the Broncos, Patriots, Colts. I'm saying they're locks. The Bills are a lock. That leaves that that AFC North spot. I believe that is going to be one of these three teams. So you've got the Dolphins, Chiefs, Texans, Jaguars, Chargers, all fighting for two spots. For two wildcard spots, and I feel like that is going to be it's going to be insane. So that's what I mean on the slide where I say anybody but those teams could make the playoffs. Any of those teams. The Dolphins most likely not, but I think the Chiefs, Texans, Jaguars, Chargers, 2 out of those 4 teams are going to make the playoffs. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bengals or Ravens, both of those teams maybe make the playoffs, or maybe one of those teams and the Steelers make the playoffs. That's what I'm talking about, the AFC. The NFC, I have really the only lock teams are the Eagles and the Rams. Oh, and the 49ers. I'll talk about the 49ers again in a little bit later. The Niners are in a playoff spot at 7-4. They're in a wild card spot at the moment. They're only 2 games back. How is that humanly possible? No, they're 1 game back because the Rams haven't had their bye week or something. Yeah, the Rams haven't had their bye week. They're 1 game back of the Rams for first place. That could happen. Based off of the Sam Darnold performance, I rule basically the Seahawks out of the division contention. They're going to be a wildcard team if they make the playoffs. But I'm talking about the Niners, the Rams. One of those teams are going to win the division. One of those teams are going to be in a wildcard spot. Similarly, wow. Just like Patriot, not Patriots. Yeah, Patriots and Bills. Those are two good teams. Theoretically, the Bills could still win the division. I don't see it happening. But like two of those teams, the same division, one of them is going to win the division. One of them is going to be a wildcard spot. You got the NFC North wide open, the NFC South open. I'm going to talk about that in a second. And then you got two wildcard spots, in my opinion. You got the Seahawks and the Packers, those spots with the Lions, the Panthers, the Cowboys, and yes, even the Vikings are still mathematically in this. But I'd say the Cowboys is where it cuts off for wildcard spots. I just say the Vikings are still in it because of the division. Probably not, but I just don't trust the Bears. I don't trust really anybody except the Lions in the NFC North. So we'll talk about that again in a second. But I'm saying the playoff pictures are so strange. They're very interesting. And then while I'm here, I do want to talk about the NFC South. Wow, why? There we go. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers looked like a really good team at the start of the year. They're on a 2-game losing streak. They were 6-2. They could have been 8-2. They could have been 7-3. That would have looked much better than a 6-4 record than they have right now. They're injured, and the Panthers are 1 game back. The Panthers have had their bye week already. The Buccaneers haven't. The Panthers, I would just say, beware of the Carolina Panthers. They're a very sneaky team with Bryce Young and Tet McMillan. Again, you don't have to be that good to win that division. And let's take a look at their schedules like we did with the Bengals and all those people, because I feel like this is very interesting. The schedule doesn't get much easier for the Buccaneers. Remember, they've won the division the last couple of years. They had the hardest schedule. Here's their remaining games. You got the Rams. I'm thinking you're going to probably lose that game. So you're already 0-1. You play the Cardinals. The Cardinals have been good, but I think the Buccaneers can handle it. 1-1. You beat the Saints 2-1. No biggie. You beat the Falcons 3-1. Panthers. You play the Panthers twice, and then you play the Dolphins. You probably split against the Panthers, so you're 4-2. And then the Dolphins, I feel like, could be feisty for either 4-3 or 5-2, meaning you get 4 or 5 more wins. You're an 11-win team. But you got to remember, the Panthers weren't very good last year. You play the Niners. Oh my gosh. Wow, I forgot. They do have a tough schedule. Scratch that. I think the Buccaneers will probably end up winning this division, but the Panthers will make it interesting. Look, you have to play the Niners, you have to play the Rams, you have to play the Seahawks, then you play the Bucs twice, and you play the Saints then once. So you have basically one gimme win, and then the rest are going to be hard. That's insane. That kills the whole cliche and everything like that. Sorry about that. But yeah, that is the first thing I learned this week from the NFL. There was a lot of change-ups. I didn't know if I was ready for it. It was absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. But yeah, that's just kind of a little recap. And then we got to move on because we have 5 things I learned this week, and we're only on to number 2. The second thing I learned this week from week 11 of the NFL is this. Boom! Sam Darnold. My Sam Darnold take is proven true. Everybody's been saying this. Oh, Sam Darnold's playing like an MVP candidate. He has the Seahawks at an incredible record. Well, I said differently. I said, yeah, he's pretty good. We saw that. He was pretty good with Justin Jefferson. And it's pretty easy to play with Justin Jefferson. It's pretty easy to play with Jackson Smith-Njigba. But once we saw him in games that mattered, we saw him against the Lions and the Rams. So we had the playoff game and then the game for the division for the number 1 seed in the playoffs last year. We saw what happened. And don't tell me you're gonna just forget about that. And as a Viking fan, I don't forget that. I know what happened to my quarterback. And it wasn't very good. We saw we couldn't trust him. And people were just saying, oh, yeah, we're going to forget about that. He's making millions of dollars. And then he has the game where he needs to win. Huge game. Could be for the division against the LA Rams. And what does he do? He throws 4 picks, 0 touchdowns for only about 150 yards. And that right there proves my point that Sam Darnold cannot win in the big moments. Usually the first thing I learn from the week is the longest one we elaborate on, and then I slow things down and give you quick takes and then kind of just back it up and then move on. So that's what I do for most of the time if you're new to the channel. The third thing I learned this week from the NFL is this. Boom! Little Vikings rant coming on here. I'm prepared. I am prepared. I know there's going to be people defending him. But J.J. McCarthy is a bust. I am not at all mad to say that. I'm not scared to say that. Throw it out on YouTube. My opinion is there. J.J. McCarthy is a bust. Pulling up his stats just for y'all to see. Because they ain't good. They ain't very good at all. J.J. McCarthy. 5 games. Very good sample size. I'll give it the rest of the season to compare you the full yards, the full stats. 6 touchdowns. 8 interceptions. QBR, 26.6. He's thrown less than 1,000 yards, which in 5 games, a normal quarterback or even a slightly good quarterback get about 200 yards, so you should be about 1,000 yards already. You're not. You're another game or two from hitting 1,000 yards. 2025, he has 74 completions for 140 attempts. That is a 53% completion percentage. That is worse. That is worse than my picks percentage. And y'all know my picks aren't always very good. 6 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. For every touchdown he throws, he's going to throw about 2 interceptions or 1.5 interceptions. He's been sacked 15 times. I know that's kind of been the problem. But he also just doesn't get rid of the football. He holds on to the ball. If I had a camera on me, what I'm doing right now is I'm in a quarterback's pose right now. Actually, I have a football with me right now. I have a football with me, and I'm just like I'm faking throwing it. I'm fake throwing it. I've been holding on to a football all day. Well, not all day, but all shows, right? I'm just like in my quarterback pose. Even I'm in my chair though. I know, and I'm just like he just holds. He just does that. He holds it. That you can hear it. That's the football. You know, he just holds it. He just waits to throw. He just waits to throw. Never does. Okay. Now, guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna throw the football to my bed, and on my bed I got a pillow. I actually got like 3 or 4 pillows on my bed. I'm going to throw it to one that's my receiver. Actually, no. Okay, so I have a red pillow and a green pillow. The red pillow, the bright pillow, the pillow I can see, who I know that's my pillow. That's where I sleep. Not the one under the pillow that's green. Not the pillow that I just don't really use. I just have it in there to, like even it out kind of. I'm going to try to throw, right, to that, but I end up, oh wait, I think it's just a better idea to throw to the guy to the wrong pillow. That's JJ McCarthy right there. He sees, okay, there's Justin Jefferson, the bright red pillow. All right, I'm going to throw it to the other pillow, to the other team. Literally, that's what he did, last game. That's what he's been doing all season. He does not have that IQ, the sports IQ that is so important. He does not know. I mean, he's just not performing. Yes, I know he's a rookie, and I know it's very hard to play in the NFL. I hear you. But when the Minnesota Vikings take you with the 10th overall pick, they actually trade up to get you. They want you to be your franchise quarterback, and you do this. Realize we drafted him 2 years ago. It's almost 2026. We drafted him in 2024. He was injured all rookie season. There keeps being rumors that he's hurt right now. I don't care. If he's injured all the time, he's another injury bust that the Minnesota sport teams have drafted. We know that with Buxton. We know that with Lewis. But I'm telling you, nothing you can say will change my mind that JJ McCarthy is a bust. You're looking at these stats. They ain't pretty whatsoever. I guess he knows how to run. He has 21 carries for 110 yards. That's pretty good. He's averaging 5.5 yards per carry. Let's go. Maybe you can just be a running back. That's my JJ McCarthy rant for you guys. But I also had one more thing on the. I said JJ is a bust, and I also said, sorry, it keeps editing out. Plus wasting J Jets. When you have the best receiver in the game, or one of the best, Jamar Chase is up there as well, you shouldn't be struggling as much as you are. You should be targeting him at least, right? If you're struggling, you should be targeting him. You guys ready to see some stats about targets? All right. Are you guys ready? I don't think you're ready. I'm just letting you guys look at those targets. Look at the yards. Look at the touchdowns. I know he's only played 10 games. Think about, though, when he got injured, when we had Kirk Cousins as our quarterback in 2023. Jefferson got hurt. He played 10 games. He played just as many games as he's played now. 12 more targets. 12 more catches. 7 more targets. 300 more yards. Almost 3 more yards on your average catch. The touchdowns were only 3 more touchdowns. I get that. But still, that's when you got hurt. Last season, he played all 17 games with Sam Darnold, 103 catches, 154 targets, 1,500 yards, 10 touchdowns. You look at this season, 10 games played, 56 catches, 93 targets, under 100 targets through 10 games of the season, under 800 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns for Justin Jefferson. What the heck? You're wasting his prime. He is in his prime. He's 26 years old. He'll soon be 27. 6'7". Yeah, I know. And you're just flat out wasting his career. And I think I'm more mad about that than you starting JJ McCarthy. So that is the third thing I learned this week. That JJ McCarthy's a bust and that the Minnesota Vikings are wasting one of the best receivers, arguably in NFL history. You're wasting his career and his prime. The fourth thing I learned this week, though, I'm going to give you a little positivity for the Vikings, is this. Boom! The Vikings can still win the division. Don't know why it's not highlighted. My bad for that. But this is where I said we were going to talk about the NFC North. I promised. So we're going to continue. I'm going to say what I promised. Boom. The Chicago Bears stand 7-3. The Green Bay Packers 6-3-1. The Detroit Lions 6-4. The Minnesota Vikings 4-6. You look at the division record. Look at that division record. 2-1 Minnesota. You beat Detroit and Chicago once, and then you lose to Chicago. Can you beat Green Bay? If they beat Green Bay this week, by the way, it's in Lambeau Field. If you beat Green Bay, you would beat all of your division opponents on the road. Look at the Vikings' home record. You've won one game. You've won one game at home. This is why you don't go to Vikings games if you live in Minnesota. Let's look at the Chicago Bears. Let's see what's their remaining game look like. How many wins do I think they can get? They're playing the Steelers this week, as mentioned, and they play the Eagles. I think they're going to split those. They're going to beat the Steelers. And I think they lose to the Eagles. They're 1-1. They lose to the Packers in Lambeau. I think you're going to split with the Packers as well. So hold on, 2-2. You beat the Browns 3-2. You lose to the Niners 3-3. And then you lose to the Lions. You go 3-4. You lose to the Lions. You go 3-4. I think in your next 7 games, which means you're a 10-win team. Which means if you're the Vikings, you only have to win 6 games, and I believe you have the tiebreaker with the Bears. So in this little projected thing here, in this hypothetical situation, I have the Bears going 10-7, hypothetically. Then you got the Green Bay Packers, who are second in the division. They're 6-3-1. You got them playing the Vikings this week. I'm going to take the Packers. I think the Packers win this one. I think they're going to split with the Vikings. I think Packers win. Then the Lions beat the Packers. Then, again, they split with the Bears. So you go 2-2. You lose to the Broncos 2-3. You lose to the Ravens. Or you beat the Ravens. I think I had them beating the Ravens, technically. So that would be... I lost track. And then you lose to the Vikings. So you split with the Vikings and you split with the Bears. So you're 2-2 there. And then you beat the Ravens. 4 wins. So again, I don't know. Let's do this realistically. So they're gonna beat the Vikings for sure. They'll lose, I think, here and then split. So that's 2-2. 2-3. 3-3, 4-3. Four more wins for your Green Bay Packers. And that's what just what I think based off of, things can happen. So again, you're 10-7. 6-1, I think. 10-6-1, which would be better. Be better than the Chicago Bears. Then you got the Lions. The Lions are very interesting. They play the Packers. They play the Giants this week, so that's a gimme. So that's 2-0 already. This is a hard schedule. I think I had them beating the Bears. So 3-0, they're going to beat the Vikings. 4-0 on Christmas. You'll beat the Steelers 5-0. I'll give you a 5-2 record. You could lose to the Vikings, I could say. I could say you could lose to the Vikings. 5-2. Giving you a record of 11-6. And then you got the Minnesota Vikings. Obviously, I don't think they're going to win it, but I'm just saying mathematically, if you win out for sure, if you win out, you with all these records, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 games left. You win out, you'd be 11. So you would have to win out theoretically with all these projections that I'm making right now. If you have to win out to win the division, obviously, I don't think that's going to happen. Let's see what could happen, though. I think you lose to the Packers here, but I think you're going to beat the Seahawks. I think our defense is going to be too insane. It's a 3:05 game. That's late for Sam Darnold. Let's beat the Seahawks. 1-1. JD5, I don't think he's going to play another game this year. So if JD5 doesn't play, you beat the Commanders, you go 2-1. You lose to the Cowboys 2-2. You beat the Giants 3-2. You beat the Packers, you go 4-2. And then I think you lose to the Lions, you go 4-3. That's the good scenario. If JD5 comes back, you probably could lose to the Seahawks very well. But I'm just saying this is the good scenario. 4-3. Max wins you get here is 8. And obviously, if you get that many wins, I think people would probably say, "Oh, you're so good," and then you look at what JJ did. He was able to get him 8 wins. I think realistically, you lose to the Packers, you lose to the Steelers, you beat the Commanders. No, 1-2. Then you lose to the Cowboys. 1-3. You lose to both of these teams. I think you still no. I think you have 3 wins. Okay, it's 3 to 4 wins. I think you have 3 to 4 wins in your pocket if you're the Vikings, if you play normal. If you play absolutely awful, well, then you might not win another game all season. But that's what I stand here and I say Detroit, Green Bay, Chicago, any of those teams could win the division. Don't matter what people are saying about the Bears right now. I don't trust the Bears. I do not trust the Bears whatsoever. Could they make the wild card? I think they have a better chance of making the wild card than winning the division, but I could be proven wrong, and that is totally fine. But yeah, that is the fourth thing. What did I just do? I don't know. That's the fourth thing I learned this week from Week 11 of the NFL. And the final thing I learned from Week 11 of the NFL this week was this. Boom. Don't count the 49ers out. Thumbnail for today's video. The picture, I use the thumbnail as the intro. Was all about the 49ers. Well, I'm going to glaze the 49ers a little bit here. I'm not a full 49ers fan. I like Brock Purdy, and that is it. I mean, I don't mind Christian McCaffrey. He's likable. I like Kyle Shanahan. Earlier this year, the 49ers lose Brock Purdy, and then you have to have Mac Jones start. You lose George Kittle for the good start of the season. Brandon Ayuk hasn't played all season. Juwan Jennings hasn't played most of the season. Then, you have Mac Jones playing. He's playing pretty good, right? You lose Juwan Jennings. Once you lose Juwan Jennings, you lose Nick Bosa for the season. Then you lose Fred Warner for the season. You lose so many guys. Purdy comes back. Well, okay, hold on. You lose so many guys. I'm going to back up here. Mac Jones gives you a good couple wins. And then Brock Purdy comes back. The Brockster. And you crush the Cardinals, 41-22. Brock Purdy throws 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. 2 of those touchdowns to George Kittle. George Kittle had 6 catches for 67 yards. I know that was with Jacoby Brissett. But still, that was good. Juwan Jennings is back. Christian McCaffrey had a receiving touchdown. He had 2 touchdowns on the ground. Purdy looks good. He only took 1 sack. That O-line is good. Malik Mustafa had an interception. Brian Robertson had a 42-yard kick return. Sky Moore had a 98-yard kick return. Eddie Pinheiro, after going down with an injury, 3 of 3 for field goals, 2 of 4 on extra points. He scored 11 of your 41 points, 4-1. 49ers look scary. They're 7-4. They're getting their pieces back. And imagine if this team was fully healthy, how good this team would be. And I just want to take a peek here at the remaining 6 games. Because if you beat the Panthers, which I think you should, then you have the Browns and the Titans. Look at that schedule. You go 3-0. Then you have an insane game against the Colts, which I have no idea who's going to win that game a couple days before Christmas. Then you got the Bears, who I think you can handle. So that's already 4 wins. And then you beat the Seahawks, 5 wins. Max, you go 5-1. That means you go 12-5. You could easily win out, though. 6 wins. That would give you a record of an insane number of wins at 13. The Seahawks. The Seahawks play the Titans, so good one. They get a little bounce back game. They'll win, probably. And they play the Vikings. They'll probably beat the Vikings. They'll beat the Falcons. That's an easy schedule. I think you lose to the Colts. That's an afternoon game. Late afternoon game. Late slate game. 3-1. Then you play the Rams again. That's prime time. Oh, Sam Darnold's going to be seeing ghosts all over the place. 3-2. Panthers, maybe they're fighting for the division. They beat the Seahawks, but I think you could probably beat them. You go 4-2, 4-3. 4 wins for the Seahawks. 11 wins. Respectable, but not enough. Then you got the LA Rams. The Rams play the Buccaneers, who they'll win. They'll beat the Panthers. They'll beat the Cardinals. I think they could lose to the Lions. Hot take. They beat the Seahawks. They beat the Falcons, and they beat the Cardinals. So they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 wins. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then they lose 1. They go 6-1. They win 14 games. And the Rams win the division. But be aware. Don't forget. Do not forget about the 49ers. And I do think they could be an insane threat in the playoffs. And that is why I have them as my thumbnail for today's video. So do not count the San Francisco 49ers out until they are out. So as a recap, the 5 things I learned from week 11. Well, I gave you an update on the playoff picture. I talked about Sam Darnold. I talked about J.J. McCarthy. I talked about the NFC North. And I talked about the 49ers and how, hey, the 49ers could very well surprise some people, even if they are hurt like crazy. Are you guys ready? I think we are ready to hold myself accountable for the picks I made last week. It is time to predict the unpredictable. You know, I curated this this title for this little segment here. It's a pretty short segment because This NFL season has been nothing like it's been in the last couple of years. All these weird teams making the playoffs, being 9-2. So, hey, I said time to predict the unpredictable if you are new to the channel. But yeah, it is my week 12 picks and a recap of how well I did last week. I went 10-5, boys. I went crazy last week. We've been going like kind of about 500, maybe a little bit better than 500, but the teams on the bye week last week, there were only 2 teams on a bye last week with the Colts and the Saints. Overall record, we are 94-69. So we're 94 for 163, which is a 58% completion percentage, better than JJ McCarthy's completion percentage in the NFL. There are 14 games to predict this week. We're back to 4 teams on the bye. It is the Broncos, the Chargers, the Dolphins, and the Commanders, all on bye weeks this week. And here, as a reminder, here are my picks from week 11. If you missed that episode, and if you haven't, if you want, go ahead and check that video out here on my channel. It should be one of the more recent videos, besides all my gaming videos. But yeah, there you can see who I predicted and where I went wrong, and where I went absolutely right. Only a couple games wrong, including the I don't know why I picked the Vikings to beat the Bears, and who else did I pick? That was kind of weird. I picked the Bengals to beat the Steelers. I think if they would have won there, we could have been talking about them winning the division for sure. But yeah, it's time for our Week 12 picks. This is definitely the shortest segment out of our NFL episodes, and I will be posting a short as well based off of these picks. So if you forget what picks I make and you don't want to scroll through the long video again, it will be in a short I will post directly after I publish this video. Thursday night football. This is going to be interesting. We got Thursday night football on tonight. We got the Josh Allen-led Bills against Captain Davis Mills of the Houston Texans. Give me Josh Allen. I just don't see a way where they lose this. If they lose this, they're frauds. They are frauds. You just don't lose this game on prime time. Everybody's watching Josh Allen. I'm telling you, if they lose, I'm gonna be yelling at this microphone next week when I am live in Florida for Thanksgiving. Well, yeah, let's go. If you guys don't know, I'm in Minnesota right now. I live in Minnesota. Yeah, that's why I'm a Viking fan and a Wild fan and a Timberwolves fan and a Twins fan. Even if they put us through a lot, Minnesota sports are cursed. I'm telling you. Sunday early slate begins with the Bears and the Steelers. We have talked about this game quite a lot already in this show, and I already said the Bears are going to get that win. Drake May. Hold on. What do I do? I'm having second thoughts. I was originally going to go with Drake May. But if Joe Burrow comes back, this is hard. I'm going to come back. Give me another easy pick. The Lions. Give me the Packers. Give me the Seahawks. Going all the easy games. Give me the Ravens. Sorry, Jets fans, you're just done. I don't think there's any other easy. Oh, and then the 49ers and the Rams. Okay, those are all my easy picks. And then here are a couple interesting picks. So let's start with the Raiders and the Browns with Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders is making his, he came into the game last time because Dylan Gabriel was in concussion protocol, but now he's going to be the full starter, a full game of Shedeur Sanders. Give me Shedeur Sanders. That's how much I don't think I feel like the Raiders are just such a bad team that they need more draft picks. And the Browns always do this stupid thing where they should have the number 1 overall draft pick, and then they win enough games not to have it, and that's what they're going to do here. The Jaguars, I think that's actually pretty easy. I think the Jaguars have been looking pretty darn good. They add Jacoby Myers, and it's a very good addition to their team with Trevor Lawrence. And, they're going to beat the Cardinals, even if the Cardinals have looked pretty darn good. Give me the Eagles over the Cowboys. The Eagles are the Eagles, and, they had a bit of an off night on Sunday Night Football or Monday Night Football. I can't remember which one it was. No, it was Monday Night Football. But still, I believe in the Eagles to have a bounce back game, even if it is in Dallas. And then there were the Falcons. The Falcons are the weirdest team. Penix is done for the season. London looks like he's done for the season. Give me the not the Jets, the Saints. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm kind of going crazy, but give me the Saints. I want to pick the Saints one more time this year. When we pick the Saints, I believe we got that one game right. Let's make it 2 for 2, baby. Let's go, Saints Nation. We got probably one of the games of the week, in my opinion, are the Colts and the Chiefs. The Chiefs need this win if they want to, stay in playoff contention, but I just don't see it happening. They don't have much run defense. JT is going to go crazy. I think Daniel Jones is going to be him, and I don't think Patrick Mahomes is going to be enough, and they might be missing the playoffs. They're going to be 5-6 after this week, and then the Colts, could be 10-2 after this week. That would be crazy. And then we were left with this game. The Patriots and the Bengals. I legit have no idea. I have no idea whatsoever. So we are going to ask Google to flip a coin. Wait, whoa. We're going to flip it again. Chill. If it is heads, we're going to pick the Patriots. If it's tails, we're going to pick the Bengals because I literally have no idea. Here we go. What is it? It is tails. We're going to pick the Bengals. Wow. They want us to take the Bengals. We take the Bengals, submit the picks. And then, as a recap, we pick the... Oh, and in case you forgot, even though we just basically ran over who I picked, I'm going to give you another recap of who I picked here for Week 12 of the NFL, my Week 12 picks. Here we go. I take the Bills in Thursday Night Football over the Houston Texans. Then I'm going to give me the Bears over the Steelers. Give me the Bengals over the Patriots with Joe Burrow starting. And basically we just flipped a coin to decide who, because I couldn't decide who we were going to pick. Give me the Lions over the Giants, the Packers over the Vikings, the Seahawks over the Titans, the Colts over the Chiefs in a thriller game, the Ravens over the Jets, the Browns and Shadur Sanders over the Raiders, the Jaguars over the Cardinals, the Eagles over the Cowboys, the Saints, a very interesting pick, the Saints over the Falcons. They're just injured so bad. I like the Ravens in this game against the Buccaneers on an epic Sunday Night Football game. And finally on Monday Night Football, give me the San Francisco 49ers. And those are my Week 12 picks. Make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button so you never ever miss any NFL episodes or any other podcast things that I do on my channel. I have so many podcasts, gaming shows, and stuff like that. And I hope you guys would tune in more often, not just this one time. Sorry, guys. That I was just doing that also because I'm going to turn that basically into a short. Just so you know, that's what I was doing with that. I'm turning it into a short for YouTube and stuff. Yeah, and X or whatever. But yeah, those are my Week 12. Those are my Week 12 predictions. Let me know if they are similar to what you have, completely different. If you think Joe Burrow starts, that he's going to beat the Patriots, let me know. I want to know. And that means we are finally, I don't know why it does that all the time, headed to our last segment of the show. It is time for our Week 12 Power Rankings, everybody. I always have to stand up for that because I just feel like it's just Power Rankings, everybody. I love my Power Rankings. I love doing these Power Rankings. You guys love them too. And, let me know in the comments if you want me to do more Power Rankings more often. Right now I do NBA and NHL once a month. That it will be coming up next week, November 25th, I believe. I had to look at my calendar to make sure. Yeah, I think the 25th we will be releasing we're about a month into both of those seasons, the NHL and the NBA. But it is NFL Power Rankings time. As a reminder, I will put... Well, actually, here is my Week 11 Power Rankings, but also I will put them as in a little screen to the on the right side of your screen. So while I'm doing it, you can have an idea of comparing and contrasting from week 11 to week 12. And I think there's going to be quite a few shakeups here. We're going to reset it. Boom. Yeah, there we go. I have to edit this. I edit this all the time. Just missing the playoffs. Oops. There we go. So there we go. And without further ado, let's get into our week 12 power rankings, starting off with the New Orleans Saints. They're still in number one pick contention for sure. And then I'm just not going to say much about them at all. Also, I do spend a lot of time talking about teams throughout the show. So sometimes I'll talk about a team for a long time during the power rankings. Sometimes I won't say much. And if there's also a team that's just not really interesting like the Saints, I'm just not going to say much. And that's just kind of how we do it. Okay. Another team there's not much to say about are the Las Vegas Raiders, who are a pretty bad team. Yeah, it's unfortunate because Ashton Genty and Brock Bowers are both amazing athletes. I like watching them play. They just got Geno Smith as their quarterback, and that is the problem. The Miami Dolphins have been in number one pick contention for many, many weeks. They're 4-7. I think they have a chance of being mediocre at best. I'm telling you guys, there are going to be some changes, major changes. If you've been following our power rankings for even the last 5, 6, 7 weeks, you've known there's been a general feel. Most of the teams have stayed around the same area. This week, for some reason, just clicked a bunch of things, and I feel like we just got to know a lot more things about all the other teams that I just really like that. And but that does force our power rankings to shake up quite a bit. We got the 5-5 Baltimore Ravens, who are coming back. I had them as a potential wild card. I'm going to keep them as a potential wild card team this week. They're looking pretty darn good, as we broke down earlier in the show. They could end up winning the division for sure. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. But yeah, I'm going to keep them as a potential wildcard team right now because they aren't in a playoff spot right now. And, things could happen. Lamar could get hurt. He was nursing an ankle injury a couple days ago. So we'll see what happens. We got the Bengals. The Bengals, again, were number one pick contention till Joe Flacco got in. And they kind of came up. They were at mediocre at best last week. But now Joe Burrow, Joe Burrow's coming back. Give me just missing the playoffs. They're just going to miss the playoffs. They're going to fall short a couple games because Joe Burrow just couldn't get back soon enough. And they couldn't beat the Bears. They couldn't beat the Steelers again. But hey, this team, I think Joe Burrow can. This is how much I think high. I think so high of Joe Burrow. And I'm saying he is one of the few quarterbacks that can turn your team to awful, but then you could also be competing for the playoffs at the same time because he is so talented. I love Joe Burrow so much. And we got the Denver Broncos, who are 9-2, one of the best teams in the league. They were a Super Bowl contender this last week. They're going to be a Super Bowl favorite this week for me. They're one of my top 5 teams. They're going to be 5 teams as a Super Bowl favorite. The Giants aren't one of them. The Giants are young but intriguing. As you know, I've kept saying this. They're like the perfect team to fit in that category because Scatabo, Neighbors, Dart, that's going to be an insane young core. Abdul Carter, Dexter Lawrence, that's going to be an insane young core, next year. And that's just young but intriguing material right there. You got my Minnesota Vikings coming up next. And, they're going to be mediocre at best. I think I'll put them ahead of the Dolphins just to give them a little more respect. And I feel like they could be back in this just missing the playoff category if they somehow beat the Packers. But I just don't see that happening. They're mediocre at best. I feel like they're not number one pick contention. They're not young but intriguing. Mediocre at best fits the Minnesota Vikings absolutely perfectly. Here's another one of my Super Bowl favorites. It's the Los Angeles Rams. Give me the Rams ahead of the Broncos. The Rams look amazing. Matthew Stafford could win MVP. You got Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, and Kyron Williams. And then that defense is insane. I love the Rams so much, and they are one of my 5 top teams in the NFL right now as Super Bowl favorites. The Buccaneers, this is very weird. They're going to be a playoff team. I think they're going to be fallen though. They're 6-4. I feel like they're going to still win their division. But y'all got to start winning games, because if you guys don't win games, you're going to fall in my power rankings, and that's all I'm going to say about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We got the Detroit Lions next up, and they're going to be a playoff team. I think they're going to still make the playoffs, even if they don't win the division. They're a very good team. I know they lose to the Philadelphia Eagles, but still, I believe in them. I like their offense, Jared Goff. I like their defense, Aiden Hutchinson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, J-Mo, Jahmyr Gibbs, Dan Campbell. That team is just so good not to make the playoffs. I think they're going to make the playoffs this year out of the NFC. And then we got the Bears. How about them Bears? They were a playoff team last week. They're going to be a playoff team this week because they're ahead of the Detroit Lions in the division standings, all the standings. They're going to be above them. And that's how the rules work. As y'all know, if they're higher than a team in the standings and they're kind of in the same tier, the team with the higher record is going to most likely jump ahead of them. And we got a new Super Bowl contender. This next team was a potential wildcard team last week. Oh, no. Oh, boy. That just maybe ruined almost everything. I hope that didn't ruin everything. That's going to be fun. That's going to be fun to edit. Great. I'm sorry about that. San Francisco. I was trying to pick the 49ers logo up, and I ended up closing my window, kind of. My bad. But yeah, they're a new Super Bowl contender. I'll have to just edit that. My bad. Super Bowl contender. They're a very good team. And imagine, okay, if they were fully healthy, if they had Bosa, if they had Warner, they'd be a Super Bowl favorite. Not gonna lie. This Philadelphia Eagles, though, are still my number one team in the NFL. The Eagles, they're 8-2. They're back. They're the. Excuse me. How can I talk? Why can't I talk? This is what happens when you do podcasts for like hours and you forget how to talk sometimes. It's kind of weird. They just won the Super Bowl, and they're 8-2. There's not really anything that I know their offense isn't been clicking as much. But they're the Eagles. I like it. People 2 years ago would just keep the Chiefs as a Super Bowl favorite because they were the Chiefs. They're the Eagles. That's how I view it. They're the number one team in the NFL. Then we got the Packers. The Packers keep falling. They were a potential wildcard team last week, and they're going to be a potential wildcard team this week. They're going to stay. Nothing really. I know they just had a weird week. They had a weird week overall, and I'm just going to keep them as a potential wildcard team. The Green Bay Packers beat the Giants, but only by 7. The Giants are injured. They don't have anybody of their players. Just keep them as a potential wildcard team. I'm sorry. I am sorry, Commanders. Commanders, they're not just mediocre at best. But I guess they have to be mediocre at best just because, the young but intriguing doesn't fit them, and then the number one pick I don't think they're that bad. I think they might win a couple more games this season, but I'm sorry, you lose to the Dolphins in Madrid after you had that game. And you're just injured. Just reset for next year. I think JD5 has the potential to be an insane quarterback. We will see though what happens in years to come. Not gonna lie, the Arizona Cardinals have been very, very interesting to watch with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. It doesn't look like Kyler Murray is going to return to be a Cardinal in anytime soon. They're a mediocre at best team. Congratulations. You're better than the... Oh, wait, we can't do that because the Vikings have a better record technically than the Cardinals. But they're mediocre at best. Congratulations. You're staying there for another week. I can't really say much about the Cardinals at all. This is where things get a little bit interesting with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers were a playoff team last week. They were the last playoff team last week. And just because they're leading the division, they're going to stay there. But hey, if they lose one more game, they're going to be dropping. I mean, I think they're going to lose to the Bears this week. If you're going to be like 6-5, if the Ravens win this week and the Steelers lose, the Ravens become the number 1 team in the AFC North. The Buffalo Bills, as I said, are a playoff team, and they are, I said earlier to open the show, in one of the first segments we were doing, I said, hey, they're probably going to make the playoffs. They have Josh Allen. They have an easy game. They're going to be 8-3 after tonight. That's is a definitely playoff team. 8-3 could even be a Super Bowl contender. I'm going to keep them just as a playoff team because I've had them so low. But yeah, congratulations to the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen. I don't know what happened to this team, but the Falcons were mediocre at best last week. They're not just young but intriguing. They are number 1 pick contention. I don't know what the heck happened. You're paying Kirk Cousins $50 million or something crazy like that. I know it's not $50 million, but crazy contracts. You're a number 1 pick contention. See you later, Falcons. Another team that paid a former Viking quarterback, the Seattle Seahawks. I do still think they're a playoff team. They're going to be right between the Lions and the Buccaneers. We got another Super Bowl favorite team coming on. It's going to be the one, the only New England Patriots. Yep, I know they're back. Nobody wants them to be back so quick. It seems like we're just getting over them having Tom Brady, and now they have another MVP franchise quarterback in Drake May. I don't know if he's going to win MVP this year, but I would sure like to see what would happen. I feel like people might explode if that happens this season. If the Patriots go from Tom Brady to another very talented franchise quarterback by the name. Sorry, I don't know why my mic's being so weird. By the name of Drake May. The next team, it's Shador. It's Shador next. Shador Sanders, everybody. Shador Sanders and the Cleveland Browns. Well, they're still number 1 pick contention. Yeah, sorry. It is what it is. I'm going to finish out this number 1 pick contention because I hate keep looking at them and I don't want to talk about them. The Titans are bad. The Jets are the worst team in the league. And then we have the Saints still there. And then, we got 2, 4, 6, 7. Well, how does it always happen, bro? It literally happens all the time. I keep saying 6, and then there's always another team. It's always 6, 7. Why does it show up so much? I do not know. But the next team we're putting in our power rankings are the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans, last week, they were just missing the playoff team, and I think they're going to stay right there with the Cincinnati Bengals. I got to put the Bengals below them, though, just because the Bengals, of course, have a weaker record, and it's going to be harder for the Bengals to make the playoffs than the Texans to make the playoffs in my eyes, but maybe after tonight, things change with Davis Mills as quarterback. The Kansas City Chiefs, they were a playoff team last week, and I'm going to put them as a potential wildcard team. I'm going to put them ahead of the Packers and Ravens, but that's where I'm going to put them. I think they're slowly falling. I don't want to drastically put them down all the way because that would be a drastic change. And it's Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes still scares me. I still have a feeling Patrick Mahomes is going to do something crazy and still end up making the playoffs. The refs might even help him make the playoffs. But yeah, there are a potential wildcard team right now. As you can see, I am shrinking down my playoff teams, just trying to make it more because we know more. We know more about the teams now, and we have a good idea of who's good and who's not good. Who's good, who's not good? Well, the Cowboys are a very hard team to figure out. They were just missing the playoffs team last week. And I'm going to move them up to a potential wild card team behind all the teams already in there. But still, I'm going to give them some respect. Dak Prescott, George Pickens, and Cedarius Lamb are balling. That defense looks really good with Quinnen Williams, Zach Wilson, is that his name, I think. And then you got Travion Diggs coming back from injury and other pieces on that team. I know you traded Micah Parsons away, but hey, it's looking good for you right now. And, I'm excited to see what happens. I do think like week 15, week 16, the Cowboys will maybe still be in playoff contention. And then there were the Chargers. Y'all know how I've been hating the Chargers. They were like around here last week. You get crushed by the Jaguars. You're not just a potential wildcard team. You are just missing the playoffs. I have been waiting to do this. The Chargers and the Bills are the teams I just don't get. I don't know why. I just have never really liked them. I never really liked Herbert or Allen, but I respect them. There's something about the Chargers that I just don't like, and I finally have a reason. Finally have a good enough reason to move them from a playoff team, from a potential wildcard team, to just missing the playoffs because they lost 35-7 against Trevor Lawrence. I'm telling you, Trevor Lawrence is the next person we're ranking, but still, Trevor Lawrence, Jaguars, you probably should beat if you're Jim Harbaugh. It is what it is. It's all right. We are doing the Jaguars next. They were a potential wildcard team last week, but they are in the playoff picture right now. They beat the Kansas City Chiefs. They are another potential wildcard team this week. There are a lot of potential wildcard teams this week because, as I said in one of the things I learned this week, it was like any of the teams could make the playoffs, but like I'm not going to give them like the green light and say, okay, they're going to for sure make the playoffs. I'm saying they're potential wildcard teams. Okay? Sounds good. We got two more teams, the Colts and the Panthers. The Panthers are young but intriguing. That's who they were last week. But all of a sudden, they're coming on they're knocking on the door, and I'm gonna put them in between the Texans and the Chargers at just missing the playoffs. That's what I'm going to do. And finally, as I said, there were 5 Super Bowl contenders this week, or favorites, Super Bowl favorites, my top 5 teams. This team was on a bye. The last team we're ranking, the Indianapolis Colts, were number 2 last week. I'm going to put them down 1 just because the Rams do look really good. And they narrowly beat the Colts in their matchup. But they are my 3rd seed. And those are... Actually, I'm going to switch. I'm going to put the Bills into a Super Bowl contender into the top 7 because you have Josh Allen. And again, I think you're going to be 8-3 this week. So there are my week 12 power rankings. I do have one question for you guys. Should I just eliminate the young but intriguing category? I think I will. I think I'm just going to delete that young but intriguing category from now on. Sorry about that. So should I just delete it here so that they would be a number 1 pick contention? I'm going to delete this here. Delete row. Boom. There we go. We got a new. It's a brand new. There we go. Brand new. There's our new power ranking sheet. I like that. I actually kind of like that. I think the young but intriguing category is good for like the early weeks of the season, but like all those teams are going to just keep staying there the rest of the season basically, towards the end of the season. So yeah, that's that. We're going to edit that. And then it makes the Vikings the second worst category. I love it. We condensed everything down a little bit, and those are my Week 12 power rankings. I will read them off 1 through 32 right now, starting off with number 1. The best team in the NFL, according to my power rankings for Week 12 of the NFL, are the Philadelphia Eagles. Number 2 are the Rams. Number 3 are the Colts. Number 4 are the Patriots. Number 5 are the Broncos. Number 6 are the 49ers. And then you got 7. I know, I've been saying that way too much today. Seventh best team in the NFL, according to my power rankings, are the Bills. Number 8 are the Bears. Number 9 are the Lions. And then number 10, rounding up the top 10, I keep Sam Darnold in the top 10 for this week, and this week probably alone. He might be falling, but we'll have to see. Number 11, we got the Buccaneers. Number 12, we got the Steelers, who you're on the verge of dropping to like 15. Number 13 are the Jaguars. Number 14 are the Chiefs, and number 50 rounding off the top half of the league are the Green Bay Packers. They have fallen from like Super Bowl contenders to like potential wildcard team. That's kind of crazy. Number 16 are the Ravens. Number 17 are the Cowboys. Number 18 are the Chargers. Number 19 are the Carolina Panthers. And then we're starting off in the 20s here. The number 20 are the Texans. 21 Bengals. 22 Vikings. 23 Cardinals. 24 Dolphins. 25 Commanders. 26 Giants. 27. That's probably the biggest like leap or decrease. 27 are the Falcons. 28 are the Browns with Shitter. 29 are the Raiders. 30 are the Tennessee Titans. 31 are the New Orleans Saints. And the worst team in the league are the New York Football Jets. And those are my Week 12 power rankings. Let me know what you guys think. Do you agree with these power rankings? If so, let me know in the comments. And if you disagree, let me know in the comments saying who are your top 5 teams? Who are your bottom 5 teams? I would love to know. So let me know down in the comments section below. But yeah, I think, that is going to do it for today's episode of Inside the Zone with Mateo. This has been our NFL episode, our weekly NFL episode, coming to you every Thursday during the NFL season, and maybe starting off in the off season as well. But yeah, coming up next times on like our overview for our schedule for the next couple of days, the next week or so on Inside the Zone with Mateo. My Week 13 NFL show will be coming out on Thanksgiving, November 27th, 2025. Also, I'll post episodes if I have any ideas, any things I want to talk about. If there's any breaking news, we'll talk about that. I know MLB signings. There's some free agency signings starting to happen. There was a trade with the Orioles and the Angels, so maybe we'll have an MLB episode in the next week or so. I post almost daily shorts. Those are always super fun, so go ahead and check those out. I will be posting more 2K rebuilds in the next couple of days. We're trying to rebuild every single NBA team to kick off the NBA season. That's already about a month in. But basically what it is we have basically a 1 year, 1 season to turn each team into a contender, and we see how far we can get. On Sunday, my next Kingdom Competitors episode will be coming out. Where we're going to look at a Christian athlete and, see what they think about God and, their faith and their testimony, just kind of how God saved them, and see if we can learn anything from them or if we should maybe stay away from what they believe, just based off of what I believe as a Christian, as a believer in Christ. And feel free. I would love if you guys would do this to suggest any video ideas that you guys have, any podcast ideas you want, any topics you want me to cover, any gaming videos, challenges, just let me know. Let me know in the comments down below. I will try to make those things happen. Maybe even tag you in a video. Maybe. But yeah, that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you guys all for watching. Don't forget to keep God first because He's the most important thing in your lives. Please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn the notification button on so you never ever miss an episode. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.